Good evening, everyone. Catherine, thank you for co-hosting.
You're welcome.
We'll give it a few moments to let people drift in. And we will hopefully have as many cameras on as possible so we can take each other in. Human beings of this earth. More the merrier with cameras, and then we'll say hello and then hear each other's voices and then start our practice period. So good evening from Sausalito, California. Nice to be with you. Feel free to say where you're calling in from and say good evening to each other. But not all at once.
Good evening from Alameda.
Hi from Saskatchewan.
Good evening in Saskatchewan and Alameda.
Hi from Maine.
Wow.
Whole Valley, San Francisco.
Hi from Petaluma.
All the best from Evanston, Illinois.
Oh, Evanston, Chicago,
Yes.
my kind of town.
Woohoo!
I'm going there Friday.
Yay, Catherine.
I'm from San Francisco.
Is that sounded like Frank.
Lori from Tucson.
Hi, Lori. See you this weekend if you show up.
Katie from San Francisco.
And Victor from San Francisco.
Hello. I guess that
Mary
was
from
Victor.
Santa Barbara.
Hey, Mary. We got-
Hi, it's Ken from Edmonton.
Hey, Ken. We have Mary from Regina. I noticed you started.
Hi,
Good to
Mary
see
from
you.
Regina, Saskatchewan. Good to see you, Howie.
Okay.
Hi from Maryland.
Hello, Laura.
Good to see you all.
Eugene, currently in Forest City, Iowa.
Oh, great. I'm a Nebraskan. Welcome,
Antonio.
Eugene.
John.
Hey, John. Good to see you.
Keith from Berkeley.
Hey, Keith. Welcome as always. Okay, just so to me, so heartwarming to hear your voices and hear that reverberation of our the miracle of our humanity, how these bodies with the senses produce these sounds that create these symbols that then are communicable, and we're able to actually understand each other. It's quite a miracle. If we don't stop and take note of that, we're missing a screw. So may we all appreciate the wonder and mystery of our existence and our humanity. So anyway, very nice to be with you, but it's time to practice, to step out of whatever stream of distress, or at least use the stream of distress as your starting point of opening to the truth of your experience. So the art of practice is the art of making room for whatever is there. And it may be a stream of distress. But the beauty of bringing anything into our field of awareness is whatever that is becomes workable. And at least what I've found, it, without trying to make this happen, it becomes pacified. It becomes less distressing. Whatever it is that can be noticed with a kind and interested and relaxed attention. So I don't think Madison is here. And if she is, or if she isn't, it was Madison who requested that we ring the gong at the beginning of the sitting. So this is Madison's gong. And let this be your call to attention. I'm struck by how effortlessly the sound is known in awareness. No work is involved in registering that sound. Of course, it might be more difficult if I was more hearing impaired, but to the extent that we can hear, the sounds arise and are known to us without strain, without struggle. And our meditation practice has that same quality of receptivity, of non-strain, non-struggle. So we begin our practice by just letting go of struggle, banishing that word from our vocabulary. And notice what it's like after the last view of our life or our experience as struggle has passed and before the next one comes. You'll find with your eyes closed softly that there is a felt experience of your sitting body, a very gentle return to simplicity. There may be pleasant experiences involved in this feeling of the sitting body, may be unpleasant, but it's simple. And if we're feeling our body, we know that we're in real time. The past is just a memory, it's past. The future, just a dream. Another thought. There's just this living experience. If our attention is able to come together with this feeling of sitting, with an upright, relaxed posture as much as possible, if our attention comes together with this, there is a natural settling or stilling. Again, without strain or tension, just letting go of any manipulation, just receiving the body's experience of its own posture. And if you stay here long enough, you'll notice the body's experience of its own breathing as well. And if you just stay in that experience of the body breathing, you're likely to notice that your mind further calms and settles. Not because we calmed and settled it, it's because that's the byproduct of a harmonized mind and body, a mind and body in the same place. A return to the earth, to nature. Something in us calms. So we use as our support for staying here the continued connection with our body's experience of sitting and breathing. We just don't let our attention leave as much as we're able. And then we welcome all the other sense experiences that may also arise in this real-time awareness. Sounds again, other sensations, moods, thoughts, images, everything reminding us of our love of present time experience, our love of reality. It's contrasted with our ideas of reality. This is a direct experience. This is not historical. So just this experience of sitting and breathing, or whatever sense experience, just this moment. No need to lift out of this instant to find the relief that is available. Notice already how the dust of memory has kind of brushed away, and there's just a little more clarity, a little more stillness. Just remain here undistracted as long as it lasts. Intimately feeling the body and breath. Intimately feeling moods as they roll through our body like changing weather and mind. Intimately tracking the arising and fading of the sounds and sensations. Everything welcome, everything equal. No superior place than this unfolding now. Just this breath. When you realize you've been drifting in a thought bubble, lost in thought, celebrate the fact that there's now awareness shining through, opportunity to reorient yourself to real time. Let your mind settle back into your body. Your body fill your awareness. Make nothing else of it. Just this moment, just being aware, supported by the body and breath, supported by the earth. Just this moment. Thank you for your support of me, of each other, to sustain a period of quiet, period of being alone together. Can't do it as easily on our own. So I appreciate sitting with all of you. Naturally, I'm curious what you were experiencing. My mind was very fertile, as it often is in the quiet, and functioning in the role of leader. Different kinds of things pop into my mind, and questions, topics, but I think perhaps the way I could be most useful if I hear from you, what you experienced. Any questions, comments, descriptions. And as always, a reminder that whatever your comment or question might be, will be probably useful to someone else. So it's part of our generosity, part of our practice of dana, of giving to the Sangha, to the community. So any comments, question? Lisa, please feel free. Thanks for breaking the ice.
Hi, Howie. I wanted your thoughts on meditating with your eyes open. I've found that I'm on a computer all day long, and sometimes I feel a little bit tired. And at this time when we have meditation, there's a beautiful window outside. I can see the sky and it looks really beautiful. And part of me just wants to kind of stare at the sky. But then that's kind of like, I realize I have like this want, like, oh, it's beautiful. I want to look at that. Like, I don't want to close my eyes. So there's kind of like a grasping at the beautiful outdoors, but also it's very in the moment as well, because I'm just kind of looking at the birds. I don't know. I just wonder what your thoughts were.
Oh, if I had that window there, I'd be looking out that window. That sounds like a beautiful thing to do. And it's the beautiful thing about grasping is it's just another thing to notice. You don't have to make it something that's prohibited. It's just another thing to notice. And if there is a grasping or tense quality, it will actually impede your ability to enjoy that beautiful experience of just seeing, of connecting with nature in that way. But it doesn't matter whether your eyes are open or closed. What matters is that you're aware and awake. So you are your own guru in this regard. And I think did you actually experience a clinging quality, or was that more your concern that you might be a little sticky?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more distractions, so it feels a little harder. But I don't know if clinging, maybe.
Well, here's the way that maybe you can balance that. When you say there's more distraction, of all the different doors of perception or senses, the eye is the most easily seduced into commentary. It's hard not to think about what's being seen. And meditative awareness is really non-cerebral. So it's just seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, just basic sense experience. Content, not so important. So if your mind is proliferating a little bit, then you might want to just return to that. Just notice, oh, the mind is thinking about this, and just seeing, and then sitting, and then touching, so that you maintain some anchor that's very simple. So that's all. And then
Thank you.
And then it's a good insight to see that your mind is, the sights aren't distracting. Our mind starts commenting. So our mind gets distracted. So if we can notice that, then it's just another thing to notice. Oh, thinking mind. Anyway, have fun with it. Liz, please feel free. Good to see you.
Last week, I believe it was last week, I heard you talk about how this is not my body.
Well, that's Thich Nhat Hanh.
Oh, did you say that?
Yeah, it's a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh.
Okay, I have tremendous trouble with that. And instead of telling you exactly how I feel about it, I'm a New York Jew, I can't help it. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Mm.
If you wish to.
Yeah, I can comment a little bit. That quote is a pointing. It's a pointing to that in us which is not, that's beyond our body, beyond our mind, beyond that we have within us. I guess it can be captured by that quote from Albert Camus, who says, "In the midst of winter, I realized that there was within me an invincible summer." There's an unbound, free, uninhibited nature within us, which is not the body, but in order to actually experience it depends on the body. But part of being able to awaken to that more boundless understanding of ourselves, it's really helpful to study the body, to study what is our strongest identification. We think, I am the body. But then when you look very deeply into the body, you can't find any self in it. And in fact, if you turned up the microscope on the body, you find only space. You find only that vastness. And so so it's only because of a certain kind of proximity of our observation that the body seems both solid, seems like you, seems like it's different than other bodies. But when you look more deeply into it, you see this ever-changing flow of sensations, processes that really don't belong to anybody, that are in some ways impersonal. And the more one studies that whole process, there's a little bit of letting go of the identification with the body. The body is beautiful, awe-inspiring, special, challenging, but it's not myself. And so one can, if one has shifted their relationship to the body, they say, this body is not myself. I am actually, as I rest in my deeper nature, I realize I've never been born. That quote says, I've never been born and never die. From beginningless time, I've always been free. And that's a view from the vantage point of not being disembodied, but not being identified with the body. So I don't know which part you were
well, the joke,
complaining about.
If I have no body, then whose arthritis is this,
If I have no body, what's the...
Then whose arthritis is this?
Right, that's a good question.
Well, it's a paradox.
Yes, exactly.
I accept what you say and I put it in this box. But a person, as a person who has survived cancer and is old and dealing with trying to keep my body alive as long as possible, I find it unacceptable.
Right.
So I would say it's a paradox, and I'm willing to put what you say over here, not to totally reject
it. Let's bring it right back here, because what you just described, which we have to be very kind and compassionate, and it's challenging to survive cancer and to survive aging. Nobody survives aging, but challenging to do that. But in real time, that is your story. That's your history.
Yes.
That describes you. But the direct experience of you right now, if you, after your last thought of being Liz or a body or your age, and you're just here, all you know really on present evidence is that you are conscious. And in fact, you could say, you don't believe me, but see for yourself, you are consciousness itself. That's all you can really say, is that you're aware. And you can't say without referring to memory or your story or the past. You can't say you're Liz. You can't say you're a Jewish woman. You can't. All that is of the past. All that is the story. And part of the power of meditative awareness is in real time, you cut right through that. You respect it. You appreciate it. You work with it, but you also know that there is an element of you right here and now that's not bound by that at all. Like, who are you after your last thought of Liz and before the next one comes? Check it out.
Okay. I can accept that frame of thought, but I also accept a different frame of thought, and I can be present for both of them.
Perfect. That's the two truths in living experience.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I love the two truths. I haven't heard about it for a long time. At least 15 years, the absolute and the relative. Oh, thank you.
Well, what I was trying to say at the beginning is, without this body, without the conventional truth of this body, we couldn't even communicate about this notion of I'm not the body, I've never been born, I've never died. So one depends on the other. You can't, the two truths, the conventional truth and the absolute truth, they exist together.
Well, my current mantra, which doesn't quite fit in here, which I borrowed from Wes Nisker, and I'm not sure where he borrowed it from, but I am not my fault, but I am my responsibility.
That's right.
Is very, very powerful, and I have been passing it on to everyone I meet, cab drivers, friends, therapists, and
great, thank you.
I have to tell you that people are thrilled with this.
Yes.
It works for them.
Yes.
And I don't know where Wes got it from. I think it's from some scripture, or Buddhist scriptures, maybe. I don't know. Do you know?
Well, I know that I'm not my fault. It comes from his study of science, of just having and study of the earth, understanding that there's nothing in us that exists independently from all these causes and conditions that brought us to this moment.
Yes. But I am
the other part I don't. It's just.
But I am my responsibility. I must take care of my body.
That's right. That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Victor, please, last but not least.
Thank you. Well, you asked the original question, like, what was tonight's experience? And tonight was great. I think, like, in many instances, I felt going into a much deeper state of relaxation, like really relaxing the mind or the speed of the mind. So I became very relaxed. And 2 weeks ago, I was going through a very stressful situation, and I joined our meditation, but my stress was too overwhelming. And knowing myself, it's one of those instances in which I have to go jogging, like I need a physical relaxer, so to speak. But the question I have for you is that over the years, I practice one or two different types of meditations, and I think each branch has its own area of instructions or expectations and so on. My question for you tonight is that what happens in this type of meditation or in any meditation over the years? Is the experience like tonight's of relaxing the mind, is there a, so to speak, an advancing to a higher level of consciousness? Or if it is not, just the mere fact that we are meditating transforms our personality in a subtle way, which is perceived and affected in everyday life. And then I'm done with my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. I'm happy for your experience tonight. And sometimes we do need to discharge a little more and express ourselves physically in order to regulate our nervous system enough to be able to sit. So that sometimes that's the wisest thing to do in certain moments. As far as where the advanced level of practice or whatever, first of all, I subscribe to the Dalai Lama's theory is that we shouldn't evaluate it except over 10 or 20 years. So on the short run, if we evaluate it all, we're likely to bring faulty understanding and judgment that actually inhibits us to being able to receive our presently arising experience. And so the direction of practice over those many years will be to be able to receive the whole range of presently arising experience, joys and sorrows, stressful days and not stressful days, and maintain within ourselves and grow within ourselves a balance that knows that whatever arises fades, whatever arises fades, is whatever happens. There's not anything in what I notice that I can hold on to, that can define me, that everything is changing. And the more that I understand that, and the more I understand that things happen, that I'm not my fault, that things happen according to conditions beyond my control, but not my responsibility, the more I realize that, the more my mind relaxes more deeply into what is sometimes called equanimity, vipassana happiness, the happiness that doesn't depend on conditions being a certain way, a well-being that is unassailable, really, it doesn't depend on whether you're having a good day or a bad day. That's good, that's okay, no matter what, that you can work with it. And so I think people over time have more equanimity, also more kindness, less judgmental, because we experience more and more our common humanity, and less strident in our polarization, in our othering. I think that grows, that sense of our shared humanity, our shared resources, our shared everything, and the whole sense of other just starts to seem constitutionally off in some way. So I think that's what grows. But in terms of some exotic state, they come and they go, and none of it is worth clinging to. So don't set up anything that's too exotic. Thank you. Okay. Liz, speaking of Wes, I'm going to end this evening, not yet, but I am ending this evening with a broadcast from 2015 of Wes Nisker. Wonderful, recently departed, recently died spirit rock teacher, Bay Area, famous Bay Area radio personality, wonderful human being. But I'll be sharing a broadcast of his that he did in 2015, his Earth Day broadcast, since we are still close to Earth Day, and his teaching is hopefully will be a great reminder to all of us. And as I say Earth Day, I'm reminded, at least, and it came up a lot during the sitting tonight, that I've been revisited several times today by two conversations I had with a few people who were experiencing in their lives being in some way victims or experiencing other people being unwilling to speak to them, to process things with them, either through just an outright saying, no, I don't want to, I won't talk to you about that. Or in the other case, somebody ghosting, which, you know, that phenomena of just not responding to any messages, and listening to the impact on these tender-hearted humans who are near and dear to me and are beautiful expressions of life, human beings. It's just struck me and left a question of what is it that makes us unable to stay in relationship, to stay connected to someone when there is some kind of difficulty that arises, when there may be some difficulty that needs to be communicated. What allows people to put other people out of their heart? It's amazing, the phenomenon of families that don't talk to one another for 30, 40 years, that they can somehow shut other people out, or just ignore or compartmentalize, whatever it is. The more I thought about this and the more I think about it, the more I have a sense that it comes from, and anything I say will be too simplistic and can't really capture the myriad of causes and conditions that lead us and anyone to do anything. But something of it comes from, at least in my sense, and I may be wrong, and this is my opinion, it comes from a loss of connection with the earth, with our nature. There's something about learning to reconnect with nature, to be in some ways grounded in nature, grounded in the earth, feeling the earth element in us, earth, air, fire, recognizing not just intellectually, but in a felt sense that we are not just sitting on top of nature, we are nature. We are earth, air, fire, water expressing itself in our humanity. And I found that it's that the Buddha started his teaching on the four foundations of mindfulness, the Satipatthana, the sutra that has galvanized the world in terms of meditative practice. He started it with mindfulness directed to the elements of the earth, of earth, air, fire, water, mindfulness directed to the body. He said to his monks, what is it that leads to calm, to focus, to a pleasant dwelling in this life, to the abandonment of the defilements, to the heart's release, to a pleasant dwelling in this very life? What is it? It's mindfulness directed to the body. When mindfulness is directed to the body is calm, mind is calm. And you can tell when your mind is settled in your body, then it's much easier to accommodate the next thing that the Buddha focused on. Not just, that was the first foundation of mindfulness. The second foundation of mindfulness was the mindfulness of the range of feeling tones, the accommodating pleasant experiences. We're not great at accommodating pleasant experiences. Our mind very quickly moves into wanting more of them. The mind we don't accommodate unpleasant experiences very easily. The mind quickly goes into not liking, reactivity. So starting with settling into the earth, we slowly expand the kind of brilliance of learning how to accommodate pleasant and just let it wash over us, to feel the unpleasant and not compound the unpleasant, and sometimes the difficulty of the unpleasant, with a very strong reactive mind. Because once we're unable to feel the feeling tones, then our mind gets propelled into a lot of discharge, and that discharge has the effect. The discharge is our thinking mind that starts blaming, wanting, fantasizing, building a case for the prosecution against ourselves, others. Our mind just starts going and becomes disconnected from the earth. Once we lose our contact with our body, once we lose contact with the earth and live excessively in our reactions to the feeling tones that come with being embodied, we become very, as one teacher put it, very strident in our views, very strident in our beliefs, very strident in the creation of a feeling separate from the earth, separate from the flow of life. And then without wanting to, we get isolated into our views and opinions and selves, our ideas of ourselves and the ideas of others, all of it generated by an inability to accommodate the full range of experience of the earth element. So on Earth Day, it's a reminder that this is an in the body experience. This is in the earth experience, this meditative practice. It's not an out of body. We may realize, Liz, that at some point that I am not my body. This body is, I am not bound by this body. There's a deeper part of me that's never been born and never dies. But only those who are grounded, who come to that single point within their body, are able to touch that boundlessness. That's the paradox. It's those who come fully into the body that are able to let go of the idea of the body and experience ourselves in the family of all beings, connected to life, right where it connects with us. So when I was thinking about these two people who were experiencing the effects of being rejected or ghosted or stonewalled, or kinds of experiences that we have every day, I certainly felt a lot of care for the people who were experiencing this, but I also felt some care for the people who were unable, who've gotten so bound in their reactivity, they're unable to maintain relationships, unable to keep talking, unable to accommodate the range of feelings that it takes. Maybe it's the hottest fire there is as a human being, much more hot than sitting in a cave by oneself, to actually stay engaged with someone and stay embodied, stay in touch with the earth element as we stay in relationship with each other. But so I felt some compassion for I'm sure whoever it is that is unable to communicate, unable to stay in relationship, unable to keep someone in their heart, suffers from that sense of isolation, from that sense of separation. And so I would wish for them, as I wish for all of us, to return to the earth. As the Buddha did on the night of his enlightenment, when he was visited by the the mind of desire. In that case, Mara trying to distract him from the total immersion in the depths of the meditation practice, distract him from the capacity to realize the sure heart's release, to realize liberation. What did the Buddha do when Mara, the personification of those voices in our mind that think we need to go somewhere or change someone or change ourselves in order to be liberated, he said, "I see you, Mara." And he says, when Mara says, "Well, who do you think you are? There's nobody here that's witnessing that's verifying that you deserve to be enlightened, that you deserve to be awake." And what did the Buddha do? The Buddha put his hand on the earth and said, "The earth is my witness. The earth is a verification that I deserve to be enlightened." And that sense of the earth, that sense of belonging, that concept that's used, that my colleague and friend Sharda Rogel shared with me from the Maori people in New Zealand, this concept called Tauranga Wewe, which is the right to be here. And it refers to their right to the land, but it's really that sense of being rooted right where you are, and that you have that right. And you have that capacity. And not to lose that through some kind of petty grievance or judgment or disagreement or view. Stay in relationship with the earth, with all the earth beings, unless it's really unsafe for you, unless you're being harmed intentionally. But I know for certain that the two beings who shared their stories with me of ghosting, they have absolutely zero intention to harm, and they are both incredibly conscious beings who really some of the most refined, developed beings I know. And so anyway, I'm just thinking about them right now. But wherever you can, stay in relationship. And it may seem like a leap, but to me, what really allows us to stay in relationship is to keep our mind in our body, to stay in touch with nature and let its bounty melt your heart. Let its beauty melt your heart. Let all the support melt your grievances and your tensions away. And know that you don't have to travel any distance to experience that earth. It's you, right where you sit. That's why the Tibetans say, don't go into the tangled jungle looking for the great awakened elephant who's already resting quietly at home in front of your own fireplace. So let's settle back into the moment for a moment, we'll just let there be a pause, and I want to prepare you a little bit. Since this is a radio broadcast, I'm about to share of Wes on Earth Day. It has a little bit of the radio shtick. It's a little loud and fast, but it's wonderful. And so fortunately, if we stay in our body, we can handle wild and lively as much as we can, peaceful and quiet. So here's Wes.
Earthlings. This is Scoop here to sing to everybody everywhere. Happy Earth Day to you. Happy Earth Day to you. Happy Earth Day, everybody. Regardless of kingdom, phyla, class, order, family, genus, or species, and regardless of the color of skin, fur, feathers, scales, leaves, or bark, Happy Earth Day to you. And yes, we're coming up on Earth Day, which is everybody's Mother's Day, because the Earth gave birth to all of us. The microbes and the macrobes, the ferns, the frogs, the fish, the four-leggeds, you and me, and we are all together. And Mother Earth does continue to suckle us all with air and water, food and shelter. And even though we are spinning through space at many thousands of miles an hour, we don't even have to hold on, because the Earth is holding on to us with her strong arms of gravity. She is our protector, our spaceship, our rock of ages. But we humans seem to be out of touch with our mother, and maybe that's because we stood upright, which lifted our heads too far from the ground, fostering the belief that we are above it all. Meanwhile, our major religions have come to regard the Earth as just a training planet, a place where you come to learn some lessons or burn off some karma, and then you go off to your true home somewhere else. But those beliefs are dysfunctional because they take our reverence away from the Earth and remove humans from the great web of life. So on this Earth Day, we want to give a big shout out to Uncle Charlie Darwin, who started to spin us a new story about who we are and where we came from. And as Sir Charles wrote in the last sentence of his book, The Origin of Species, quote, "There is a simple grandeur in this view of life in which endless forms, most beautiful and wonderful, have been evolved." And that includes you and me, beautiful and wonderful Earthlings, born out of the 3.5 billion-year-old dance drama of life on this planet, a story that contains as much awe and wonder as any Bible. To paraphrase cosmologist Brian Swim, only 4 billion years ago, the Earth was a ball of molten rock, and now it can play the guitar. So here we are on Earth Day 2017 playing music in the Holocene. Or is it the Anthropocene? Anyway, it's my scene and your scene, living through a nice interglacial period. But when people say it's a beautiful day, there's a growing menace that comes with those words. And yes, the biohazards are now in the house. With temperatures rising, oceans polluted, species going extinct, just so much trouble everywhere that the very word ecology can make you scream, ecology. And what is required of us if we're going to heal the mess we've been making is not just recycling and driving hybrid cars, it's about a change in consciousness. It's about embracing the story of evolution as our new creation myth and then making ritual around it, singing and dancing it, bringing it alive in the corridors of our psyche and the marrow of our bones. Speaking of bones, my Earthling friends, our bones are made out of phosphates, silicates, carbon, the actual clay of Earth molded into this human shape. And most of our bodies are liquid, and most of that liquid has the chemical consistency of the oceans. We literally sweat and cry seawater. We're not only on the Earth, we are of the Earth, made of all natural Earth ingredients. We are certified organic. And in the story of evolution, we find that we are related to every being that ever lived through the miracle molecules of DNA, which carry the instruction manual for every form of life on this planet. So we are all cell brothers and cell sisters. Can you dig it? And there's a t-shirt from Santa Cruz biology department that reads, "You share 25% of your DNA with bananas. Get over yourself." Yes. And the good news is that once we start to see ourselves in the story of evolution, we will find reason for hope. We see that nature is one tough mother, and that life on Earth has so far survived comet collisions, continents bumping into one another, ice ages, the plague, even Henry Kissinger. So life is very likely to survive human beings and even Donald Trump. We can also find hope by remembering that the word ecology has only been in common use for about 40 years or so, and that the first UN conference on the environment only took place in 1970. A blink of an eye in biological time. We're just now waking up to our impact on the life of the planet, just now learning how we have to change our story and our way of living. And it turns out that what the Earth needs most from humans right now is a few years of negative, economic growth. Mother Nature is telling us that we don't need a stimulus package, we need a sedative package. Us Homo sapiens could use a little downtime, giving our hearts and minds a chance to catch up with our brilliant tool-making ability. As an American on Earth Day, you could try consuming about a third less of everything that you normally consume. Or you could go picket in the front of the oil company of your choice, or go out into the ocean, take a swim in the primal amniotic fluid, and while you're out there, maybe tie yourself to an endangered coral reef, or play some soothing music for the fish that must be very confused lately due to the changing temperature of the ocean water. No matter what you choose to do, at some point in your Earth Day celebration, or your any day Earth celebration, take off your shoes, dance on the ground, touch your mother's skin to skin, or just lay down flat. Ignore your inner cynic and give your mama a great big hug. As always, she will kiss you and forgive you and welcome you home. And this is Scoop saying, all praises to the earth, long may she spin. And as always, if you don't like the news, go out and make some of your own. Happy Earth Day.
Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your attention this evening. And Catherine, are there any quick announcements before we sign off?
Yes, first, what year was that recording made?
2015.
Okay. Yes, there is a retreat being offered at Spirit Rock, the Spirit of Insight, Dharma, and Awakening. It's on land, Monday to Sunday, July 29th through August 4th. I put the information and the registration link in the chat. You may have to scroll up. And this is offered by Spirit Rock and the Insight Dharma Center. And I don't know if Howie, you want to say anything more about the Insight Dharma Center at this time?
Maybe not tonight, but just know that the consortium of San Francisco teachers are all gathering together and creating, trying to follow through on a vision to create a city center. But in the meantime, there's a website and a clearinghouse, and we're all sharing each other's retreat information and attending each other's events. And eventually, maybe there will be, if there's enough support for it, there will be a city center. In the meantime, we've been meeting for several years now, and there seems to be some support that's growing, and hopefully it will take root. And so that was part of our vision, is to first get together as a group of teachers and lead a Spirit Rock retreat. So come one, come all. It's also open to anyone, whether you're connected to San Francisco or not. And then, of course, I will be at Spirit Rock for 2 more retreats in September, the Labor Day retreat, and then the Founders Retreat a week later, where the Spirit Rock founders, we will be offering a short residential retreat also. So love to have you come to all the retreats. And since our time is actually up, I think I'll just thank you in advance for any financial support, any dana, fun offering my dana to you, and hopefully you'll have fun offering dana to Mission Dharma and to me, and that's how it all keeps going. So thanks in advance, and really nice being with you tonight. And I'd like to invite you to unmute and say good night to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Howie.
Thank you, Howie.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Howie,
everyone.
can we
Thanks,
look
Howie.
up
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Mr. Thing?
Not everyone.
Or can you
Night.
put a link in the chat, or
Oh yeah,
can
how
we
do I
look it
do
up or
that?
something? Okay. It was
Thank you.
great. Thank you. It was really great.
Thanks for the Westnisco.
Yeah, that was
Yes,
great.
it's
It's
from
really great to see
it's-
him.
It's from YouTube, and
Yes, I saw
It's
that.
called Happy Earth Day Earthlings from
That's
West.
right.
Great. Happy
Thank
Earth Day,
you.
Earthlings.
Anyway, love
Thank-
being with you. Take care. Good
Happy
night.
Earth Day. Good night. Thank you.
Happy Earth Day.
Night,
Big
Harry.
love. Big love from Nashville. Big love.
Thanks, Howie. Thanks, everyone. That was wonderful.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.